Miss McKay here. So today we're going to be working parallel lines. The one thing you guys need to remember about parallel lines is they always have the same slope. So we're going to flash back a little bit and go back to algebra where we learned y equals mx plus b, our slope-intercept form. Remember, y just stands for the y point, any y point. M is what we're worried about, our slope. X is just any x point that's on that line. And B is our y-intercept. But what we're really focused on is we're focused on the number that describes M in each equation. Here's a quick example. If we have this equation, y equals 9x plus 3, and we're looking for a line that is parallel to this line, we know in our equation of the other line, the 9 will stay the same. It's only the y-intercept that will change for parallel lines. Not only are we working parallel lines today, but we're also going to be studying perpendicular lines today. So here's what those are. Perpendicular lines will have negative reciprocal slopes. What that means is we flip it and change the sign. So in this equation, y equals 2/3 x plus 3, our slope, or our m, is given by the fraction 2/3. If I were going to flip 2/3 and change the sign, what do you think it'd be? Well, the negative reciprocal of 2/3, if we flipped it and changed the sign, is a negative 3/2. The 2 went to the bottom, the 3 went to the top, and it became a negative. So now that you know that, let's get started. So our first video example today says that we want to write any equation that is parallel to this line above and write any equation that is perpendicular to this line above. So we remember that parallel lines have the same slope but different y-intercepts. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So let's get started on this one. Our equation is already in y equals mx plus b form, where remember m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. So if a parallel line has the same slope as this line above, we know that this line's slope is also 9x plus. Now if we wrote 3 as the y-intercept, it would be the same line. We want a parallel line, so we can pick any other number that's not 3. Let's pick 1. This line is parallel to the line above. Now let's talk about the perpendicular line. Remember, the perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So what that means is we need to flip the numerator and the denominator of the original slope and give it a negative sign. So what that means is if we have a 9/1 right now, we're going to flip it and make it a 1/9 and add the negative sign. We'll rewrite the rest. Y equals negative 1/9 x plus, and again, we can just make any y-intercept, let's say 4. So for this problem, we're flashing back to algebra, and we're using the slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Now we need to assign these points a name. I'm going to call this the first point. So this one's x1, y1. This one's my second point, so I'll be calling it x2, y2. Now we're going to plug in the perspective numbers for where they match in the formula. y2 is 6, so I'm going to write 6 minus my y1, we called it 3. My x2 is 3, subtracted my x1, which is 0. Let's simplify the top. 6 minus 3 is 3, and 3 minus 0 is 3. Well, 3 divided by 3 is just 1, so our slope is just 1. So if we're trying to create a y equals mx plus b, we already figured out that our m is equal to 1, and given in the points above, we know our b, our y-intercept. So let's write what we have. We have y is equal to, again, m is equal to 1, so we do not need to write it as the coefficient. We know there's an implied 1 there when we just write x. Now our b is given to us in our original points. Remember, the y-intercept is where x is equal to 0. Which one of these points has an x equal to 0? If you said the first one, you'd be correct. So we know our y-intercept is 3. Our final answer is y equals x plus 3. For our last example, we're going to put both previous examples together. So for part A, let's find the slope of the line using 2 points, then write the equation of the line with the given 2 points. So let's label our points as x1, y1, and x2, y2. We'll plug it into our formula. y2, 11, minus y1, 9, all over x2, 2, minus x1, 0. 11 minus 9 will give you 2. 2 minus 0 gives you 2. And again, 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. So again, we have a nice easy slope, which is 1. So I'll write y equals x. Now, given by the points again, we know our y-intercept is where x is 0. So again, in our first point, x is 0. The y-intercept is plus 9. This is our equation that we are going to be working with. Now for part B, we want to write a parallel line and a perpendicular line with this equation. Remember, a parallel line has the same slope. So in this case, our slope is still 1. Let's make a different y-intercept. You can choose anything you want. I'll pick 3 because it was our last problem. So this one is parallel. Let's make the perpendicular. Remember, perpendicular lines have negative reciprocals. We have 1 over 1 as our slope right now. So if you flip 1 over 1, it stays 1 over 1, but it just becomes negative 1 over 1, that negative reciprocal. So our our perpendicular line is y equals negative x plus, and you can pick your number here. Let's make it 5. If you have any questions on this video or any of my other videos, you can send me a message on Instagram at Miss McKay Math. Have a good day.